Right, we are back. Hello. If you do not know me, my name is Leslie Nelson. I am an 8th year teacher in Wichita, Kansas. I'm a reading specialist this year. It's my first year as a reading specialist. And normally I do like vlog type content, but it's been insane the past 2 weeks, and I'm kind of waiting until I'm established in a more predictable routine. Plus, I have a parrot in my room this year, which makes it kind of difficult. So we're gonna do more traditional, formal sit-down type content, at least for a little bit, because I do want to branch into this. But for now, at least, this is the kind of content you could expect from me. I am hoping that not next week, but the week after that, I can kind of film another weekly vlog. I tried last week, and it was the first week kids were at school, and that was insane. And then this week has been a mess as well. So weekly vlogs just aren't happening. And I move around the school a lot, so it's kind of hard for me to film while I'm like moving around the school like that. But I wanted to film a video. Of course my brother is calling me now. Why wouldn't he be calling me now? Of course he picks right now. Okay, now that I got that phone call out of the way. Back to what I was saying. Short form content, or not short form, sit down, like, talking about things in education and probably more specifically the literacy world. But today is more of a general topic. I see this a lot at the beginning of the year. Parents very upset about school supply lists. And as a teacher and a not parent, I have a very specific idea about this. However, I'm sure in the future, should I be a parent, should something change, I will have different ideas, but this is what I have noticed and my personal take on it as an educator. I am not coming for these people. I am not like trying to make them seem like the villains or anything like that. I'm just giving my opinion. Now, sorry, I have like 57 tabs. Okay. I'm going to start off by saying, as someone who taught classroom, this is the first year I haven't taught classroom. So this is really the first year I haven't sent home a school supply list or come up with some sort of school supply list. I do not put things on school supply lists that are not necessary. And every school supply list I have seen has been, it makes sense to me. All right. So we are going to just look at, so this is from Office Depot, and it is the ultimate school supply list. So we're looking at school supplies, and I'm going to click K through 5th grade because that's usually when the most like stuff is required. And oh, hold on, there we go. Okay, so I'm doing K through 5th grade. That's usually when the most stuff is required and the time that people kind of have an issue with. I think it's recording. Anyway, so if we're looking at what Office Depot recommends for school supplies, so we have crayons, markers, composition book, spiral notebook, 2-pocket folder, plastic like pencil case, notebook paper, construction paper, backpack with a laptop sleeve, water bottle, Ticonderoga pencils, erasers, Sharpie acrylic markers, Papermate Inkjoy pens, Elmer's glue, a ruler, scissors, a binder, Clorox wipes, and hand sanitizer. Okay, so I would say out of this list, the only thing that kind of strikes me as odd is the Sharpie acrylic markers. I I've never required acrylic markers. Those would be like paint markers, it looks like. Yeah, paint like ink. That would be kind of strange, but also depending on like what projects and stuff kids do throughout the year, I could see that being a necessary school supplies. But yeah, crayons, markers, composition books, spiral notebooks, these are all very standard school supplies that I have used with my kiddos throughout the year. Ticonderoga pencils. Ticonderoga is the superior pencil for school kids, and I will say that forever. Um, I mean, some of the brands are unnecessary, like the wipes. I mean, yeah, we like Clorox and Lysol, but not necessary. Like that brand is important. Purell, like just hand sanitizer. Um, I do know the Crayola. I never specified a brand, especially when I lived in Korea, because Crayola is not a thing in Korea. However, teachers who specify Crayola do so because Crayola lasts. It genuinely is like Crayola brand is so good at lasting through the school year. Rose Art does not last. I don't even know what other brands there are, but I have not had other brands stand up the way that Crayola does. So yes, you do pay more for that, but you're paying more for a reason. Now, that's not to say if a kid comes to school with Crayola, they're gonna get like sent home, like, don't come back with it. That's ridiculous. But if a teacher specifies a brand, it's because it's gonna hold up. Um, but yeah, like a composition book, I've had kids use both spiral notebooks and composition books for different reasons. Two pocket folders, yeah, they need a pencil case. The paper to go in the binder, we had to have a binder for our reading curriculum just because of what was required. The backpacks, I know backpacks can get expensive, and especially like backpack with laptop sleeve, especially in the modern day with one-to-one tech. I mean, yeah, this is standard school supplies for an elementary school kiddo. Let's see what it says for 6th to 8th grade. Again, markers, this time colored pencils instead of crayons. I mean, you still need you needed colored pencils in high school. Like, I get that. Okay, spiral notebook, pocket folder, composition book. Yep. Yeah. The calculator. Combination lock, and a lot of places are getting rid of lockers, and usually if they have lockers, the combination lock is built in. A planner, yes. Backpack, water bottle, Sharpie markers. I mean, again, maybe need them, maybe don't. Whoops. Pencils, highlighters, Ticonderoga pencils. Again with the acrylic markers. I don't, is that like a thing now? Or scissors, ruler, binder, binder tabs. Those are, yeah, again, other than the acrylic markers and maybe the Sharpies. This is pretty standard list for middle school. High school is kind of difficult. A lot of high schools don't give out supply lists, but let's just see what Office Depot recommends. Notebook, folder, paper, calculator, graph paper, color pencils. Yep, yep, yep. Yeah, again, whiteout. Yeah, especially if you're using pens. Like, again, this is pretty standard school supplies. So that's like, I would say Office Depot, it makes sense. Like, that's all. If your school doesn't give out a list and you're wondering what to send with your kid to school, that's a um, pretty solid way to do it. Yeah, Office Depot, pretty solid list. I mean, again, I've never seen a teacher ask for things they don't need. And the biggest complaint I see a lot too is like 12 glue sticks. My kid's not going to use 12 glue sticks. Yes, they are. Yes, yes, they are. Your kid will use 12 glue sticks. I am an adult. I'm an adult who knows how to properly use glue sticks. My glue stick usage, I went through 7 glue sticks in a school year. And I know how to use a glue stick properly and not overuse glue. So how do you think the kids are doing? Again, teachers put numbers of things, and some people are like, oh, well, my teacher sent home school supplies at the end of the year. That means they overshot it. They overshot it, rather have more than less. That's it happens sometimes. Or sometimes we need a specific number of things, but we understand that like you can only buy them in certain numbers. It's a numbers game we have to play. So what's on the list itself and the amount, I've rarely seen a list. I don't think I've ever seen a list that has something that's unreasonable or wouldn't be used. I think the most unreasonable thing I've ever experienced when I was in middle school, I had to have rubber cement, but that was the year we were building a rocket, like a model rocket in 8th grade science that we were going to fire off, and we needed rubber cement to assemble the model rocket. So again, makes sense. But like, now, I was scrolling through Reddit while researching for this video, and I greatly appreciate. So there was this post in r/parenting, and it says, just a tip from a mom of tweens, a lot of items on the school supply list were likely sent back home with your kids at the end of the school year, and you don't need to buy new supplies if you already have them. I'm also not buying new notebooks if my kid used like 10 pages out of the old notebook. I'm ripping out 10 pages. That's more so a personal judgment call. Yes, do that. Do that. Like I said, if a teacher overshoots and asks for 3 notebooks and they only use 2 and they use like 2 pages of the second notebook, rip out those pages and have them take that same notebook the next year. It especially consumables are hard. Consumables, like, that's really hard. But again, if your kid needs 12 glue sticks and only end up using 8, use those the next year, especially if you get Elmer's brand or Crayola brand or whatever brand the teacher asks for. Probably going to last and be okay for another year. That's a good idea, and I highly encourage parents to do that. And then, so underneath this, another Redditor commented, yes, I see most parents buying brand new everything, which is completely unnecessary. Even if money is not an issue, this is so bad for the environment. Most kids don't even go through a whole pencil, but they ask for 36. Why? Disagree. Hard disagree. Most kids don't go through a whole pencil. Ma'am, I go through pencils so much during the school year. Also, have you seen what kids do to pencils? Have you seen? They'll snap them. They'll like rip erasers off. Have you seen what children do to pencils? There's a reason your child went through 36 pencils. I don't know what else to tell you. Your child went through 36 pencils. I can go through 36 pencils in a school year. That's obscene. Your child didn't even use one. Ma'am, have you been in a classroom? I guess I don't know if it's a ma'am, but like, yeah. Disagree. However, this school supply list this thread did give me a really good example of someone getting the brands thing. So there was someone, it's Girl Scout Mom 00 on this thread, and they said, I saw this posted by someone else and it makes perfect sense. So I don't know where this originally comes from. I found it on Reddit, and this is how I'm going to be explaining this from now on to people who don't get why the brand is a thing we care about. As a male elementary teacher, I would like to help the guys understand the school supply list. Crayons and glue. Rose Art equals Harbor Freight. Sure, it's cheap and it looks shiny in the package. Will it get the job done? Yes, but only the one time. Will you be happy with it? Probably not. Will it last till the end of the year? Absolutely not. I mean, agree. Rose Art, not going to last. Crayola and Elmer's, old school craftsman. Solid, dependable, your grandpappy's favorite, and is still working fine. Will not disappoint, and you will say to yourself, yes, this is why we buy American. Always get Crayola. Always, always, always get Crayola. And Crayola just keeps doing amazing things. And I will say, I used to be a solid Expo marker fan. I was an Expo girly. I refused to use off-brand markers. I was Expo. I still love me a good Expo marker. Crayola whiteboard markers. I can see the yellow marker on a whiteboard across my classroom. I am not sponsored by Crayola. I will hype up Crayola so much. Crayola is the brand. So yes, agree. Solid, dependable, love it. As Toby Keith plays in the background,
Dollar Tree brand. Tools from the flea market. Everything is a gamble and you'll lose every time. Agreed. Also, don't bring that fancy, clear, sparkly gel glue up into your child's classroom. It's like somebody rolling up with vegan food to a barbecue. Please do not send your child to school with glitter glue unless it is on the supply list. Do not send them with glitter glue. I am begging. Pencils. Ticonderoga equals snap on. A little pricey for pencils, but dang, your kid can flex these bad boys off. Ticonderoga. Yes. Write's great. Erase is even better. Yeah. Papermate, USA Gold, Milwaukee. You get what you pay for. Nice, solid fan favorite. I'll agree with that one. Ticonderoga supremacy, but Papermate and USA Gold, solid choices as well. Those are also really good pencils. Pen and Gear, Hercules. You can hear conflicting reports. For some people, they're fine. Others would rather experience a paper cut from a stack of index cards. Additional note, pre-sharpened pencils are like getting an extra battery, lifetime warranty, and a hat with your purchase. Yes! Always, always get pre-sharpened unless, I would say, unless it is specified to not get pre-sharpened, just get the pre-sharpened. Life is so much easier when pencils are pre-sharpened. So yes, pre-sharpened. I got a box one time. A parent gave me a box of 500 pre-sharpened Ticonderoga pencils, and I have never been so close to proposing on the spot. It was beautiful. All right. Markers. Expo equals Black & Decker. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean Expo, I told you Expo markers are great. Jigsaw, do they even make other brands? If so, why? Don't be bringing some cut rate horse hockey try markers to your child's teacher. Period. Crayola washable equals SKIL saw. Perfect design from the start. So I don't know. I don't know much about like tools and construction and things like that. I know my dad uses the yellow and black brand, and that's it. That's all I know. I think it's DeWalt. Um, I don't know much about tools and stuff like that. However, everything they say about these brands, I would say is accurate. This is solid help for. Oh, there's more. My apologies. There's more. Okay. Uh, Rose art equals Harbor Freight jack stands. These will lead to death. Yep, they're dry when you open the new box and everyone cries. Yes. Men, we do not like tears. Do not make your child shed tears. Please don't make your child shed tears, especially the older they are, the less teachers are able to handle tears. I teach fifth and sixth grade. I'm not prepared for tears. I'm prepared for like hormones. I'm not prepared for tears. Notebooks. If the list says a composition notebook, buy a composition notebook. Buying a spiral is like buying ATF for engine oil. Don't know what that means, but yes, composition means composition. The bottle may look the same, but that's where the similarities end. Oh, there we go. I should have kept reading. Last note, if you wouldn't trust your student on a zero turn, do not trust them to operate a pencil with the key. That key will be bent, broke, lost, and that box will look like a smart car and a demolition derby after we break that thing open with the classroom toolkit. Just stick with the plain plastic box. The Ticonderogas may be nice, but not lock and key nice. This has been my TED Talk. Remember to shop responsibly. That is absolutely. Yep. Agreed. And then I did appreciate the comment after that. Well, as a woman that spent the day building her own cabinets, this was amazing. Absolutely saving this for my brother, though he's a teacher, so he gets it. I do take issue with you thinking Black & Decker makes a decent jigsaw. The brand has gone to absolute recent years, and I nearly threw my jigsaw from them out a window. Okay, so so that's a really good explanation for someone who knows about tools. I am saving that for future use when I have parents asking me about this. So now I want to get into my next point, which is why people even have to provide school supplies. So there's a lot of people who believe that schools should provide the supplies. And I would say most teachers agree with that. I would say almost every teacher would be so down for schools providing the supplies, because then teachers could order exactly what we want and ensure that kids have the correct supplies to do the things in class. We all want that. The issue is lack of funding or improper use of funding. Teachers are not given the funds, or schools are not given the funds to be able to supply their own classrooms with supplies. We have a classroom budget, but we have to make decisions. Okay, am I going to be having like furniture in my classroom, or am I going to be buying folders for all of the students? It's a toss up every single year. I have a very generous classroom budget. I was very lucky with that. However, I also don't get to dictate a school supply list, so now I have to spend some of my classroom budget buying supplies the kids are going to need in my room. I have made the decision this year I am not buying consumable supplies for my classroom. What that means is I will not be buying anything students are going to use and then they're going to, like, once it's used, it's used. I will not be buying folders. I will not be buying my own pencils. I will not be buying any of that because I don't want to have to spend my income on that. I have other financial goals I'm trying to reach. Now, I did find some interesting information about teachers spending their own money on school supplies. So, there is an article from NEA Today called "Why Are Educators Still Buying Their Own School Supplies?" NEA is the National Education Association. I am a member of NEA. I'm part of the union. And they do a lot of really good things for helping teachers and getting stuff that teachers need. So in this article, it talks about how teachers spend $500 to $750 of their own money on school supplies every year. I know my first year teaching, I definitely spent, I want to say, about $600 of my own paycheck on school supplies for my kids, especially because I was in a very low income area. And so a lot of these kids, even if we sent out a school supply list, they didn't come into school with supplies. They're not, like, we can't get that. So it was a lot. And especially if you're a new teacher who doesn't know how to separate that and deal with the emotions of working with young, vulnerable kids, you tugs at your heartstrings when kids don't have the supplies they need to be successful. So I honestly believe a lot of people spend more than $750 a year, but and school supply costs have gone up 24%, which I'm sure is a shock to no one. Everyone's feeling the strain of inflation and a cost of living crisis that we're in, and if we're not in a recession, I think we're headed towards a recession, so that doesn't surprise anyone. School supplies costs have gone up. Now, this one is fun. 94% of teachers buy supplies out of pocket, meaning not with their classroom budget. 94% of teachers buy stuff out of their own pocket for their job. It's a number that's shocking but not surprising. You don't get into teaching to just bring home a paycheck. You get into teaching because you care about students and you care about education. So it doesn't surprise me that 94% of teachers have decided to buy supplies that their children need. And now, earlier I said teachers spend 500 to 750 out of their own pocket on school supplies. We can submit our receipts at tax season and get a tax deduction for that, up to $300. Now, we're going to take a quick pause here and do a little math lesson. 300 is less than 500 to 750. If we remember my first year teaching, I made poor financial choices and spent $600 in my own classroom. That's $300 above the tax return. So yes, we can get a tax return, but most of us are not getting our money back at all. Some districts, you can submit your receipts for a refund Like I could in my first district I worked in, but that came out of my classroom budget then. If I didn't use the district card to buy my stuff, if I bought it myself and then submitted my seats for reimbursement, that still came out of my classroom budget. So it came to, do I want to spend my classroom budget on science supplies for experiments, or do I want to spend my classroom budget on notebooks? I decided I wanted to spend it on the science stuff, and I will just buy the notebooks myself. Most so when teachers are buying things for their classrooms, I know the like Pinterest perfect classrooms and those things are really popular online. But when we're talking about what teachers are spending for the classrooms, we're talking paper, pencils, crayons, erasers, tissues, markers, like basic stuff you need to run a classroom. I've worked in districts where if you wanted to print on colored paper, you had to bring your own colored paper. They only provided white. I've worked in districts where they didn't provide cardstock. If you wanted cardstock, you had to buy your own. I've heard of districts where you have to bring your own paper, period. Like, the schools don't provide paper for teachers. That's what teachers are spending their money on. So now, when we adjust for inflation, this is a statistic, once again, not surprising, but shocking to me. When adjusted for inflation, educator pay is down 6.4% or $3,644 over the past decade, meaning even though we've been getting raises, it hasn't just like we haven't even been keeping up with the cost of living. We have been moving down away from the cost of living to the point where if we kept raises consistent with inflation, I'd be making $3,000 more than I make right now. I can think of a lot I would do with $3 extra grand. So that's fun. Any articles I use or I bring up in this as well, I'm going to link in the description below so you can go see it and find it. This article by NEA Today is a really good article, and it also brings up Amazon wish lists. Amazon wish lists are a kind of divisive topic. I have an Amazon wish list. I have an Amazon wish list for my classroom. My district told me to make one to share with the PTO. I also share it on my YouTube channel because I know there are people out there who do want to donate to classrooms and support classrooms. I will have my Amazon wish list linked in the description. I never expect anyone to buy things off of my wish list. I simply link it because people have asked for it and because if there are people out there who feel generous enough to donate, my kids are going to benefit from it and I want them to benefit from it. But Amazon wish lists have kind of become the fill-in for teachers. And I've seen Amazon wish lists where teachers are asking for like pencils, notebooks, folders. I've seen wish lists where teachers are asking for like rugs and lamps and things like that. And I've seen in between where it's a little bit of mix of both. Mine is a mix of both, leaning more towards consumable student supplies. But everything on my wish list is for custodian came in to change my trash cans. Scared the crap out of me. Anyway, I was talking about my Amazon wish list. Teachers use Amazon wish lists to supplement the fact that we do not get government funding to decorate our classrooms half the time. Most teachers, the only things they are given for their classrooms are the desks, their desk, tables, chairs. That's about it. I mean, even my classroom, the stuff that the school districts have provided, my kidney table, my office, tables, chairs, file cabinets. But like other than that, this has been things that I brought or things that have been given to me by others. So Amazon wish lists are really how teachers are filling in the gaps and trying to get stuff accomplished. And if you see a teacher's Amazon wish list and you think what they're asking for is ridiculous, don't buy it. Don't buy it. There are some very generous people out there who do want to buy extravagant, ridiculous things on teachers' Amazon wish lists. Like most of us put things on our wish list well aware it's not going to get filled. Like sometimes we just put on our wish list so that we remember, okay, when I have enough money, I want to buy this. But that's where the Amazon wish lists come in. Now, the last article I'm going to bring up is from the Institute of Education Sciences. and it is titled Public School Teachers Spending on Classroom Supplies. So this article, it says a lot of the same stuff as the NEA article, but it gave some very interesting statistics that I want to bring up. Traditional public school teachers, 94% of them buy their own supplies for their room, as opposed to 88% of public charter schools, teachers in public charter schools. So that tracks in my head, 94% versus 88%. Elementary teachers typically spend more. Elementary teachers buy for their classroom than secondary teachers at 95%, but that's still 93% secondary. So like everyone's buying things. And then this is another one that, again, shocked but not surprised. There is a correlation between teachers who have to buy supplies for the classroom, or teachers who buy supplies for the classroom, and the amount of free and reduced lunch. So according to this article, schools that have 0 to 74% on free and reduced lunch, 94% of teachers are buying supplies, 75% or greater, 95% of teachers are buying supplies. But then schools that do not participate in free or reduced lunch, 86% of teachers are buying supplies. And that's what it comes down to. These teachers are buying supplies usually because these kids don't have it and they're not going to get it, and they're not bringing them from home for whatever reason. Parents who don't give them supplies, parents who can't afford school supplies, because school supplies can be expensive. We all know this. Teachers know this more than parents probably. We are very aware of how expensive school supplies are because we're buying them. We're spending our own money on them. We are a lot of times providing supplies for these children. And I think at the end of the day, what it comes down to is the school supply debate is not going to be solved easily. The school supply debate is not going to be solved until the government steps up and starts allocating funding to education, and allocating funding specifically for well-funded, well-stocked classrooms. Until we have a Department of Education, which at this point, do we even have a Department of Education? Until we have a Department of Education that is well-funded with money going to public education so that these kids can just come to school and have the supplies there ready to go, this problem is not going to be solved. We can't keep fighting parents versus this is not a parents versus teachers thing, because at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We want kids in school ready to learn with the supplies, and that cannot be parents versus teachers. That needs to be parents and teachers working together to get the government to start allocating funds for American public education. We are not going to get better until parents and teachers can finally come to a consensus and understand that we are not each other's enemies. We need to work together to start getting things for our kids. We need to start working together to get things for our communities. So that is my take on the school supplies list. I will be linking anything I used for research in the comments down below, or in the description down below. I will also have my Amazon wish list down below. Again, I'm not expecting anyone to buy things. If you feel like you want to donate to my classroom, buy something off the wish list. And then, like I said before, you can kind of expect more content like this from me. I have a lot of topics I want to tackle, and a lot of them are going to be kind of divisive, or kind of hot button topics, because that's what I've been seeing more and more of in education. And I'm done. I'm done with staying silent and not having an opinion, because public education has turned into a political battleground. So if they don't want political teachers, shouldn't have made public school political. But thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel. I've never said this before. This is so weird. But if you liked it, stick around, check out my other videos, and I will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.